Okay, well, I'd like to welcome everybody to the Ohio Technology and Engineering Educators monthly webinar. This is for the elementary STEM people from grades K to 8. We're very happy to have Hand to Mind today. And to start things off, we have Leslie Hatten, who is actually in my hometown. In fact, she's about 3 or 4 doors down in Delaware, Ohio. She's the educational sales consultant for Hand to Mind here in Ohio. And she's going to introduce our guest speaker today, who's Pam Caffery.
Yes, so thank you all for joining us. I'm so glad that you're here, and we're going to talk to you about a little bit of all of our different STEM solutions. I'd like to introduce you to Pam Caffery. Pam is our national sales consultant, and I also like to refer to her as our science and STEM guru too. So Pam, I'm going to let you take it away.
Well, thanks, Leslie, and thanks, Bob. We're so excited to be here with you to share some of our innovative STEM solutions. I want you to know that not only, I love when Leslie says she's a science and STEM guru. I want you to know, though, that down to my very bones, I'm very much a science teacher. I haven't been in the classroom for over 15 years. Primarily in middle school area. And what I've focused on in the last 5 years of my career is working with kindergarten and through, I would say, 8th grade teachers to really bring forward STEM and STEM solutions in their classroom so that kids are engaged in all sorts of the engineering design process, but really they're engaged in being problem solvers for tomorrow. Well, you may not be familiar with Hand to Mind, but I want you to know that we've been around for a while. In fact, we've been trusted educational partners for over 50 years in the areas of mathematics, literacy, social emotional learning, and STEM and science. And as you can see by this graphic, our name has changed a little bit, just a little bit. Some of these you may be familiar with, like maybe you know OTEEA Cuisinart, if you're a self-contained elementary school teacher and you teach mathematics as well. So you can see that that name has changed, but one thing hasn't changed and will always be the same. You see, we very much believe in hands-on experiences for kids. And so everything that we do is centered on that. And the reason why, our why, is that we firmly believe that children learn best by doing.
Yes, amen.
You know, really, I mean, truthfully, adults learn best by doing, don't we?
Yeah.
So let's look at innovative solutions that we offer for kids with this focus in mind, the doing aspect of it. And along the way, I'll share with you several teacher tips and strategies, if you will, on how you could implement things like what I'm going to offer you. So we'll start in our makerspace world. You know, makerspace is where kids can innovate, they can create, they can tinker, they can really think and problem solve in an authentic way, in a very safe environment. Now, all of the solutions that I'm going to share with you today really are centered on that engineering design process. Now, this is just one iteration of what that might look like, but the bottom line is that kids are looking at maybe a task or a problem, and they're designing an authentic way to solve that problem or solve that task. They're able to build a type of model or prototype. They're able to test it. They're able to fail and fail often, right? And I say fail often, fail fast, fail furiously fast, so that you can come to the solution that's going to meet the needs of whatever that challenge or that problem was. So everything that we've done in all of the solutions that we offer really is centered on this. So let's look at some of those offerings, okay? So I want to begin by looking at the STEM Lab Makerspace card that's on the left of your screen. And then I'm going to move to Makerspace Classroom card. And I'm going to share with you our STEM bins, or our mini Makerspace. That's what I call them. So let's look first at our STEM Lab Makerspace card. Now, this one is available for grades kindergarten through 5th grade, and it's also available in grades 6 through 8. Now, the difference here, of course, are the materials and the age appropriateness of those materials. So you're going to find maybe in the grade band, the materials 6 through 8, you might find some simple electronic materials and things like that. That would be appropriate for that age group. You would find other things less complex, perhaps, in grades kindergarten through 5th grade. Now, the nice thing about when we work with districts and organizations, after school programs, summer programs, STEM programs, is that we really work to bundle and configure the solution based on your needs of that environment. So let's suppose you have an after school program. Then we could work with you to kind of design those materials that would fit. And the makerspace carts are no different from that. So a full bundle, for example, of a makerspace cart would include not only the cart and the materials of that grade band, but would also include a teacher guide, a getting started guide, task cards, and of course, the materials. Now, those task cards are really pretty important, and I'm going to come back to those in a minute. So hang on to that thought, if you will. So let's look next at Makerspace classroom carts. Now, Makerspace classroom carts literally just roll anywhere, any classroom, any type of learning environment. Let's suppose you have an after-school program and you want to use the Makerspace activities as part of that after-school program. Well, this is a perfect solution because it's so easy to roll in and out. Now, remember, it's grade banded slightly different than the STEM lab cart that you saw. And this has to do, again, with the materials and the age appropriateness of the materials. But it's organized and structured along the same lines. And both these two offerings that I'm sharing with you today use a getting started guide like you see here. So this getting started guide is great. This is easy assemblage. It's not like IKEA, okay? You've got photo illustrations. You've got a great labeling system on here. It makes it really easy to assemble both the STEM lab cart and this classroom cart that you see. Well, teachers and facilitators love our getting started guide and our teacher guide because we provide a little bit more information about the engineering design process that you see on the left of the screen. And we also give a great description of those task cards that I mentioned. And I want to pull the front of one of the task cards so that you can see it right here. Now, the nice thing about these task cards, whether it's K2, 3.5, or 6.8, is that we always include some sort of illustration on it. And that is perfect because it's low literacy demand in that type of environment. That's really nice to have. If you have students that are in summer programs or after school programs, or even in the classroom, and they're struggling in terms of reading, then this really offers something very different for kids. And again, makes it non-threatening. Another reason why I think this is really important is if you have students that are English language learners, having that type of photo illustration or that type of graphic illustration really kind of aids in making this truly very easy to implement and easy and non-threatening for kids to really.
I like it too because you don't give away the answer in the picture.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. We don't. Now, the task card, I'm glad you mentioned that, Bob, because the task card is designed really to give some guidance, not so much, though, that we're telling the kids how to do it and what to do. And sometimes kids need that kind of guidance, don't you think?
Yeah, I think sometimes they need a little help. And I like your STEM connection piece there where you're actually don't only have you have the engineering design process, but you've also got, here's what you do at that step outlined. So if a teacher's not real comfortable with the engineering design process, they have that and can use that as a guide, a real good guide to teach that particular lesson.
Yeah, what I really like about this particular cycle, that it does give those descriptions, because oftentimes you have teachers that are not quite comfortable with that engineering design process or any type of process like that.
Yep.
The other thing that I find that's really interesting when I work with teachers is that idea of failing forward and being able to retest and redesign and rethink. Sometimes that can be in a traditional classroom environment, that can be a little bit challenging. It takes some time to do that. And oftentimes we kind of shudder when we hear the word failure.
Right.
But all of us in the science and the STEM world know that failing is a critical aspect towards success.
Yeah.
And how many times have we heard of famous engineers that have failed so many times that we can't count them anymore before they get the actual model or the device that they really need.
Yeah, we talk about having an environment of failure in the classroom so that kids and teachers are comfortable with that concept, because they're not.
Right.
The
And
standard
so that's
test.
why I say to teachers, have students fail forward, fail fast, fail furious, so that
Right.
they can reach their success.
Yeah, because they're so
I
oriented towards standards and passing those standards that they don't realize if you fail, you can learn from that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's true. Dyson failed, and there's a video on YouTube, and he talks about this. He talks about failing and the importance of failing in engineering in several YouTube videos that I highly recommend to teachers. But he failed over 5,000 times when he designed the first Dyson vacuum cleaner. And restructured the vacuum cleaner itself. So that is a perfect example of how important failing is in that process, and how in any type of environment, and any chance we can to give kids that chance to fail forward is really critical.
Right.
So let me show you the back side of this card as we move forward. So the back side of this card gives tips and ways and challenges kids in a very easy way to think a little bit bigger, to go beyond this and think a little bit bigger and outside of that. I like to think these task cards serve as a foundational piece as we move students to the process of thinking critically, and that design thinking that's really important, not only in STEM and STEM fields, but in their overall social emotional well-being. Mm-hmm. And speaking of social emotional well-being, one of the things that we want to really encourage kids to do, especially in this type of environment, but certainly in any type of classroom structure and things like that, is to be able to think together as a team. Right. And so our makerspace environments here, the two solutions that I've shared with you, give students a type of blueprint to establish their own way of work. Gives them a chance to kind of think about how they're going to go about this. It also helps promote voice for each student, and it gives them a sense of, let's think about how we're going to do this, and let's give it a stab. Let's give it a try and see how this works out.
That's great. Yeah, teamwork's so important in engineering and that kind of thinking. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, then this is very important. Kids don't come into any type of environment with the innate ability to collaborate and work together as a team. And so we truly want to really promote that in all types of activities. And in the makerspace environment is perfect for that to move forward with.
Yeah. I'm really liking what I'm hearing so far. This is great.
Well, wonderful. I'm glad to hear that. When we work with teachers, we want to make sure that we're providing those quick little tips and strategies along the way. So true to form, I want to share an idea that we have using Makerspace. A lot of times teachers will tell me, I love the idea of Makerspace. It sounds wonderful, this ability for this area where kids can tinker and do all sorts of things and be open-ended. It sounds like something very nice for me to do with my kids, my students, but maybe not something I necessarily have to do. You know, after all, there's a lot of curriculum demand placed in that classroom and that type of learning environment.
Right.
And rightfully so. So we have lots of ideas and ways that we could use makerspace environment. One is to demonstrate concept understanding, use it as part of the curriculum as a way students can develop an understanding about a natural phenomenon or a man-made phenomenon for that matter.
Absolutely.
Take, for example, this one. Now, this is coming from the grades 6 through 8 Makerspace Challenger task cards. And you can see that that someone has created their version, a model, built a model based on the task, where they're asked to design and build a marble run with at least 2 changes in direction. So they did this, but they needed a way to be able to make sense of what's happening here. And so what they did was paste that image in a shared space in Padlet. But you know, it doesn't have to be in a virtual setting or a digital setting like Padlet or maybe PowerPoint or Google Slides. It can also be on a big, huge wall, a whiteboard wall, where people can collaborate, kids can collaborate, folks can collaborate and ask lots of questions like you see here. So we're asking here, they've posted the picture, and we've asked it here, how did you make the first turn? And they're going to respond. And then you ask again, how did you solve that problem? Do you notice that the marble actually was angled, the run was angled too much and the marble kept falling off? So by asking those questions and getting the explanation in a written format, not just a verbal format, what we're really doing here is helping to cement and make sense of the problem and the solution, but also as we move through that conversation, we're going to make sense of the science behind it as well.
Right, sure.
So this is a great idea to use this type of makerspace, but there's so many other ways that I can use makerspace. I can use makerspace really as a formative assessment. I can ask the kids, in this case, to demonstrate their understanding of forces and interaction,
Sure.
To demonstrate their understanding of gravity, by creating a model and explaining the processes along the way.
Great.
Well, I want to be able to share several of these task cards with you. And so I've offered several samples of those task cards. And all you have to do is to take your smartphone out, open the camera, and aim to the QR code. And the QR code will take you to a link where I've got several samples of PDFs of those task cards so that you can see them firsthand.
Excellent.
Okay. And I'm so glad you're recording this so that your viewers can see that and have an opportunity. That link will stay open as long as you need it. So those gives you at least, I think, at least 4 or 5 different grade bands of those task cards.
Very good. Very good.
All right. Well, let me share with you the STEM bins. Now, I love the STEM bins because they're the little mini makerspace. The STEM bins are developed by Teach Outside the Box, a Brooke Brown company, and we've partnered with her to develop these types of bins. They come in different types of configurations, a basic kit, which includes 12 of those STEM bins of various materials. And also we also have a comprehensive set, which includes 16 of those STEM bins. All of those configurations come with their own challenge or task cards, and they come with a variety of teacher guide and a variety of other materials for the classroom and for after-school programs, summer programs, and things like that. And I want to show you the challenge cards that come in STEM bins. So it too has its own illustration, as you can see on one side. These are double-sided with different challenges on each side. But we also have tasks or challenge cards that are text, nothing but text. So you've got some differentiation there. You've got just the illustrations, but you also have a problem or a task in written form as well. So the teacher guide comes with it, but these are the writing prompts because we want kids to write like engineers. I had an engineer tell me one time that the way he really advanced in his career wasn't all the engineering he did. It was being able to effectively and efficiently communicate his problems.
I'm laughing because that's exactly what it is. An engineer can have the greatest invention in the world, and if they can't communicate it to others, it's a paperweight.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So that he really was very very poignant about that. And so writing like an engineer is extremely critical for our students. And so this particular STEM Bends gives you those writing prompts, but it also gives students a space to make sense as well. So look at the black line masters that come with STEM Bends. You can see that they're grade banded, which, by the way, I don't know if I mentioned it or not. STEM Bends are designed for grade bands K2 and a grade bands 3-5 as well. And so you can see the little bit of a difference between these two grade bands and how they're designed to fit those age groups.
Right.
Okay. And so what prompted Brooke Brown to create this one is, of course, the pandemic. So STEM Bends Learn and Play Pack is actually an individual pack of non-consumable materials, along with challenge cards and the blueprint and writing prompts and things like that. So this is a great little pack to place in center time in classrooms or for independent work or partner work, but it's also become amazingly popular for summer programs. Because when we partner with schools and districts and organizations, what we can do is customize and build those solutions. And this has become a huge piece of those customizations just because of their design for individual student use or partnered student use. Mm-hmm. So, you know, everybody loves to tinker, right? Mm-hmm. So here's some of our professional development, a conference session where teachers are involved and engaged in makerspace solutions, and where we've rubbed elbows with some of the best teachers and their designs, and we've talked about those strategies and ways that we can really integrate makerspace options and activities in the classroom in a traditional means, but also after school programs and summer programs. And just like students who love to tinker and think about and problem solve in these and all of those great things that makerspace can bring, well, I wanted to just share with you several of those images and how what great fun these kids are having while they're learning. And there's nothing wrong with putting the fun back in learning, right?
Yeah, that's for sure.
So before I go any further, do you have any questions about the makerspace solutions that I've shared with you?
Do you have are your solutions standards based? Are they aligned with, like, for example, the NGSS standards?
They fall along the lines of NGSS. When they're used and incorporated into curriculum or any type of customization, we can align them to state specifically.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. That'd be really, really helpful. Yeah, that's great.
All right. Well, are there any other questions?
Yeah, it was interesting. Back when you were talking about the elementary school writing, most typically the writing is the fanciful, the creative, the expressive kind of thing. And at least in the Ohio standards, they did make reference to technical writing. And by and large, kids really have no experience in trying to be that kind of a either technical or descriptive. So yeah, the activities really are handy for that kind of you're providing that kind of writing experience.
Right. Informational writing is really very different. Technical writing is extremely different. To give kids the foundation to be able to move towards that type of technical writing, I think is really important, especially in K2 and 3-5 range.
Yeah. How do you encourage your kids in the writing? Do you have them keep journals, or do they, how do they record and write down their ideas or their thoughts or what they want to change or whatever?
We always advocate a type of journal, and we actually have 2 STEM journals that are like a little notebook that are designed along that engineering design process that we offer for sale. And so I think that's a really important part to have. Notebooks and journals should always be messy. They should be, not formalized and things like that. And so we start off with those blueprints that you saw and blackline masters that you saw there. So kids can scribble, can doodle, can make a mess of it as they form those thoughts in their head, moving more towards that formalized writing.
Yeah, I'm telling you, your stuff is right in line with what we believe in. Your concepts and beliefs are just right with us. It's really
I'm so glad to hear that. Well, I've got several other things to share with you.
Yeah.
So let me move on and share with you. So a really great kit that I start off with. We're going to build it, we're going to test it, and then we're going to take it home. And then that is our Make It, Take It science kits. And what I love about these kits, first off, for a teacher, everything is included in that box. Even the handouts are included, enough materials for 30 students. So this is a consumable kit. But students and it's based on a phenomenon. And so for teachers, especially elementary teachers, this gives a really easy way to introduce a phenomenon. And it gives an opportunity for students to be able to do an activity or lesson that helps demonstrate that phenomenon. Mm-hmm. So this gives you just a small sample of the teacher guide. It's a trifold. It's really easy for teachers to put into play. It gives the phenomenon, and it gives the passage for the teacher to read as they begin that. And then students are going to make the model. They're going to test it. And then they have a way to take it home and extend the learning at home. If we didn't learn anything during the pandemic, the one thing that I can say we all learned as educators is that we can colonize learning at home, and we can extend the learning in a very, very real way for our kids. And this particular kit, science kit, comes in multiple topics, as you can see, and it is grade banded, kindergarten through second grade and third through fifth grade. There's some other things that we offer, and this one's coming out in 2023. So you're getting a sneak peek of this. And we say, be an engineer every day with investigating everyday phenomenon. Now, what's coming out in spring of 2023 will be grades 3, 4, and 5, and soon to follow will be kindergarten, first and second grade. This is brand new. I'm super, super, super excited about this, and I wanted to give you a sneak peek on one of the lessons. Now, these lessons are designed specifically for the elementary teacher who only has about 30 minutes or maybe less to be able to do and engage kids in science topics. It's centered on the phenomenon. These are written to the standards. In other words, we took the NGSS standards and really looked at the design and centered these modules around. There's a series of lessons, these short lessons within each module, but this gives you an idea of what one lesson looks like. It's a 2-page lesson spread. Everything for the teacher is outlined right there, including photo illustrations to help guide them. But there are some other things that we offer that are really perfect for after-school programs, are perfect for STEM activities, STEM nights, and things like that. Like our science lab kits. We offer different types of science lab kits. There's 15. Some of them are fully consumable. Some have a blend of consumable, non-consumable, but all of them include a career and a lab guide, which I think is really important. There are multiple activities within each kit. Here's an example of the safety guidelines that are in it. And here's an example of the career guide that goes along with it. So it's great to offer for maybe a STEM family night where you're going to focus on different types of careers. I wanted to share with you just one more, and those are the activities that go along with it so that you can see those.
Yeah.
And this is one of my favorites. I have this and love. I've done so many different types of conference sessions with this one, and teachers walk out just absolutely loving this. So it's a great little activity to do. Well, I'm rounding out my presentation, and I can't leave you without sharing a few of the coding activities that we offer. You know, I told you at the very beginning that we're all about hands-on and using hands-on experiences, but our hands-on experiences don't necessarily go digitally. You see, we take a twist on coding, I guess you could say, by looking at coding in an off-screen manner and focusing more on those foundational skills that students need before they even sit in front of a type of device and learn coding and coding languages and things like that. So we focus on building, like, for example, gross motor skills, sequencing, symbol recognition, those things that are really, those skill sets that are really, really critical. And we start in early learners with pre-kindergarten, like Let's Go Code, which happens to be my all-time favorite because I think it's like taking coding and the floor game Twister, if you remember Twister, and giving it a whole new identity this way.
Right.
So it's a fabulous, fabulous floor game for kids to work on sequencing. And then our coding critters are just amazing. They're just great. And they come with their own storybooks. So our young coders really learn in a purposeful play manner about directions and sequencing. And the coding robots in coding critters are all push button on the top of them. So they're really wonderful. Then kids progress to Code and Go robot mouse. And so our mouse, Colby and Jack, are used to help practice those. You caught on, didn't you?
I get it, yeah. It's pretty cheesy, but I picked it up, yeah.
So they help kids learn those sequencing processes. They're really, really important. And then for our upper grades, 3 through, I've seen 6th grade teachers love Botley and put Botley into their classroom. Botley and Botley 2.0 are there. Now Botley and Botley 2.0 use a remote control. So, and that's an important progression for kids as they move from the mouse with the buttons right on the mouse to actually moving to a remote control and trying to control something separate.
Right.
We don't think that might be a challenge, but for our young coders, that as they're learning those types of skills, that is a very important skill that they need to work on. So that gives you Botley 2.0.
Does that handheld have a memory in there?
It does. I'm glad
Okay.
you mentioned that. It will remember up to it remembers, I think, 150 steps. It will remember it, and you have to clear it out each time. So that gives a little more advanced complexity to the types of codings. Now this Botley 2.0 will move in 6 directions, whereas Botley, the original Botley, moves in 4 directions. So that too is really different. And they both have secret codes in them. So kids absolutely love try to figure out the secret codes and do all sorts of things. Like Botley 2.0, well, has all sorts of lights and has music going. And so they get Botley going with a dance and different all sorts of different things. But I've seen both these robots used in all sorts of other activities as well. For example, you can set up a maze in the classroom and a type of array and have math problems set in various aspects. And they need to solve those math problems and then direct the robot to the solution on the array. So that you've got all sorts of ways that you can use these, so you're not just singling out coding and skills for coding, but you're also integrating the use of that technology in helping kids practice newly learned skills and newly learned concepts. Well, the only robot series that we offer that is device-driven is ARTI 3000 and ARTI Max. Both of these are Mensa certified. They've won numerous awards. These are drawing robots. Now, the nice thing about both these robots is that they have their own unique Wi-Fi. So it offers a very safe environment for students to learn coding. It has all sorts of different types of interface. You can see that it has a support site, its own. ARTI Max can code up to 5 different languages, including advanced C++. These are it has a remote, this particular one has a remote feature, and I just want to let you compare between the two. RD 3000 is the oldest one. It was the original that came out, and RD Max came out, I believe, last year with new improvements so that you can see how they're configured. Mm-hmm. Well, I've shared with you lots of different solutions that we offer, but the one thing that I really want to leave you with is everything that you've seen, and so more that we offer really can be configured and customized to meet your needs. And it's truly that easy. With minimal purchase, we partner with you to design the solution of your dreams, of depending on what it is that you need. And from the time that we sit down to design those materials or to put those materials together and build that list, to picking the packaging, and how it's going to be shipped. We can do all of that. In fact, we're known for our customization ability because of our great sourcing ability. You probably have several of our custom kits or our publisher kits in your classrooms today. We're just known for that and being able to do those kinds of things. And we've partnered with districts of various sizes across the country, everything from summer programs, individual student kits and student custom kits, as well as after school programs and summer programs and traditional classroom programs. Yeah. Even including—
Pam, I was going to jump in quickly and just say a couple of solutions in the state of Ohio and a couple of districts. Akron Public Schools, I did individual student kits for, and then Columbus City, I have worked with them for their summer solution custom kits too. So it's amazing we're able to do with the custom solutions.
Yeah. And we've done so many individual student kits as well. That's something to also consider. So it's just, it's a great way. It's a great partnership for us because we really feel, we think it's very important that we are meeting your needs. We're not, it's not a catalog of all the sorts of materials. We want to make sure that whoever we're partnering with, it truly is an educational partnership.
Yeah, very good. Do you do anything with like 4-H or Scouts? Or you ever try to get to them and talk to those groups and see if they are interested in your stuff?
We would love to.
Yeah.
And
I was going to say we haven't done it yet, but yes.
Yeah. Also, the homeschool group would be very interested in this kind of stuff too.
We do have lots of partnerships across the country with various homeschool organizations and things like that.
Very good. Very good. Yeah.
Well, we're towards the end. Do you guys have any questions for us?
I think the stuff is really great. I love the engineering design process is the heart of it. I really enjoy that. You're talking about being messy. I think that's great. The idea of failure is really good. Hands-on is what you're stressing. The only thing I would say, again going back to the standards-based stuff, I see that it could be applied to the standards. I kind of encourage that to actually be implicit. I mean, explicit in there. Here is the standard that this particular activity meets. I think that would really help your teachers feel more likely to try this because, hey, look, it fits with exactly what I'm trying to teach. Maybe that's in there and I missed it, but I think that's a big point that teachers, when I work with elementary teachers on STEM, okay, how am I going to use this in my classroom? I got to teach this, this, and this. How's this going to fit? And if they see it exactly, some of them don't get that picture about, okay, I can see where this fits. They want it spelled out. Here's where it goes.
Okay.
So I would encourage that. But I think other than that, it's really good. Now, you talked about the Cuisinart. Is that the old Cuisinart rods? Is that where that
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, that's how old I am. Okay. So yeah, way back.
We still have them and they still use them.
Oh, absolutely. They're one of the best math manipulatives out there. And we have exclusive rights to them, to Cuisinart rods.
That's great. That's great. Well, I'm tickled. I think this is good stuff. Dick, do you have any other questions or comments?
Yeah, that was also, I was interested in the information about the sort of the pre-coding, because in Ohio here and nationally, there's the Tech Core group that's doing a special initiative with by Coding Unplugged, I believe they're calling it.
Yeah.
And it's all this thing of doing various kind of hands-on activities and act-through activities, but there's no computers involved. It's all this, kind of
Right.
a anticipating process and following directions, and the orderliness of steps of doing something fits in very nicely with, well, obviously with the any of the STEM hands-on STEM activities very nicely.
Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, intriguing. Yeah,
Yes.
sorry I got messed up with the code coming online, so I missed the first part of the presentation. So
You have
I
to
guess
watch
I'll
the
be one
tape,
of the
Dick.
first viewers to go back and catch the whole show.
There you go.
But,
Right. Right.
All right.
yeah, I was also glad to see that you had some as a Columbus resident. Glad to see you have some activities going on in the district here. So,
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, it's really been great. It actually, you've gone beyond what I thought I'd see. So I'm really excited
Oh.
about this stuff.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Well, I'm so glad that we were able to connect and share with you our solutions, and I'm very pleased that you're pleased. So,
No, I'm delighted. I think our fan base. I play guitar in a band, so we've got a fan base. But no, our network of people will enjoy what you shared.
oh, good. I'm glad. I'm glad. Well, I hope to see and meet you guys in person, either at a conference down the road and or one of our
Pam.
events in Ohio.
Yeah,
So-
Pam is coming to Seco,
I
so
was
I
gonna
don't,
say, yeah, that'd be the one.
yeah, Pam
Yeah.
will be at Seco this year, so
Okay, and then
I-
hopefully you guys will be back at the OTS next year.
put it on the calendar, absolutely.
The
Well,
Ohio Technology Center. Yeah, super.
Yeah.
Well, it's been great, and it's wonderful meeting you, Pam. And I think you guys have got it going. It's really good stuff.
Well, thank you so much. And thank you guys for having us. And we look forward to seeing you guys down the road. Thanks again.
Oh, you know what? How about if you you have your contact information right there so they can get a hold of you. Okay, great. Super.
Mhm.
That's what I wanted.
All
Yep.
right.
it's right there. Thank you, guys.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye.
Thank you.
Okay. I think let me make sure I got this thing off.
Yeah, yeah. We're on then in the morning.
Yeah, right. I just want to make sure that I stopped the tape, and I think I did.
Yeah. It says still recording.
Okay, let me stop it.